Guys, welcome back to another AMA here at Lion Calls. We are joined by the team at DaVinci. Now, DaVinci, these guys are tapping into a brand new type of token, ERC404. They're looking to really do some amazing things with the art side and combining that on the token side. Now, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but the devs behind this one are insane, like absolutely legendary. I'm gonna let Leo and Roof speak to that, but I think we just go ahead and jump right in. So what I like to do is first get a high level on, what is DaVinci all about? Kind of like an elevator elevator pitch understanding of it. And then I'd like to meet you guys a little bit. So if you could also introduce us to you and how you got started on the project as well. So I don't know, Leo, if you want to take that, or Roof, or whoever, please.
Yeah, for sure, man. So Adam, thank you for having us here. Definitely happy to be here. This isn't our first time on your AMA, and I love the way that you present everything. And I love the way that you actually operate. So happy to be here again, and hello to everybody that knows who I am, and I will give an introduction to everyone who doesn't. But just to talk a little bit about DaVinci, it is something that we are extremely excited about. It's something that it sparked a new passion back into the team that wasn't there in terms of the roadmap of where Web3 was headed before, right? This is something that is being built on the new 404 protocol, which merges ERC20 and ERC721 tokens. In a nutshell, it's pretty much NFTs are cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency is now NFT. So it's now merged all into one. And DaVinci is actually adding an extra layer to that, and we're actually bringing in a AI element to it as well. We're giving and empowering people to be their own artists, whether you know how to create art or whether you never picked up a pen and drew a stick figure in your life. It doesn't matter. The liquidity that is going to be provided to NFTs and the way people are able to interact with those NFTs, it's going to change the entire game. The slogan that we're going with is make NFTs great again. But at the root of it, this is a cryptocurrency and an NFT project combined in one. And the collaboration with AI being able to kind of be added to the mix to make it so everybody can upload their own art and be their own artist, and each NFT is a one of one, is also a really nice quirk that we like to emphasize on.
So that's incredible, because it's almost like you guys are acting as like an infrastructure layer built on top of the 404 protocol effectively, because as you both really explained quite well, it is the convergence of NFTs meet token, right? So, and I believe it was Roof. Yeah, it was Roof that was explaining that normally with NFTs, you need to wait for a seller to come along, right? Put an offer up or just buy your list. Here, you're able to, effectively sell at any time and also buy at any time, which is really great too. So with that in mind, you guys are almost acting like an additional layer on top of that to allow for AI art creation to be part of that ERC404 protocol. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure, man. So definitely liquidity is always available for NFT holders now. So before that wasn't the case. Before you had to hunt down a buyer, you had to hunt down somebody. But I like to be straight up, and I like to be very vague in the way I approach this. You had to find someone dumber than you. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I paid about close to $400,000 for a CryptoPunk back in, I believe, 21 or sometime in 2022. $400,000. And I would justify it by saying, I like the art, I like the vision, I like, it's the first NFT project, badass, and I would justify it. Fast forward a couple of years, 2023, I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I mean, now if I ever want to get rid of it, I have to find someone that was dumber than me to pay, I don't want to lose $200,000 on it. I got to find someone that was dumber than me to pay at least $400,000 for it. But it's easier said than done. But the thing is, if there were built-in liquidity and I looked at the stock price of CryptoPunks and said, okay, hey, well, look, the stock price of CryptoPunks is now at $400,000 each. I want to go ahead and sell it. I don't have to go ahead and list it anywhere and look for a buyer. I can just go and instantly access that liquidity and sell it just like you would sell any other token on Uniswap. And this is exactly what it, has been brought to the table with the ERC404 protocol. And another part of it is, looking at my CryptoPunk, for example, I'll compare it and I'll be like, okay, cool. At one point, I liked the art. At one point, I was like, okay, I justified it, and the art is part of the reason why I bought it. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, cool. It's still the same boring art that I've been looking at forever, that somebody else created, and I went ahead and bought, and it was the one that I chose. I never had any dictation as to like what I wanted it to look like in terms of if I were to design it. And it doesn't matter what the artwork is. I could have bought a different looking CryptoPunk and it still would have been worth, at least a few $100,000 at the time. And that's what DaVinci is going to be able to offer people is the artwork is not what matters. The artwork is not what makes your art valuable. At the core of what makes your NFT or your cryptocurrency valuable is what the fundamentals behind it are in terms of, why did our previous project Shibadoge hit close to a $300 million market cap? Why did one of our other previous projects, Burn, hit over $100 million market cap? It's not because the art looked cool. It's because there were fundamentals behind it. There was a growth roadmap. There was marketing, hype, all this other stuff that were included into the mix. So we kind of want to be able to introduce this to a more broad audience, and we can actually market to an NFT audience as well now, as well of the crypto audience that already knows about it. And it fuses the best of both worlds, man. And I really do think this is the future of how people are going to operate in both coin launches and in NFT launches as well.
Yeah, I really like that that comparison you make, right? Of just putting yourself in the mix and saying like, hey, I spent a lot on this piece of art, which hey is still really cool. I mean, that's a very collectible piece you have there, but at the same time being able to advance that paradigm, merge two sides together, and then do something new that hasn't been done on ERC404 yet is pretty awesome. And like you said, the fundamentals is so important, right? Because if you have a brand new team who maybe this is their absolute first project, they might hit it out of the park, right? Every team had a first project. That's just a fact. But when you have a team that has a really good history, it's like, oh, okay, so they know the formula. And as long as you can assume that they've kept up with stuff, which I know I've seen you really, really active. I actually didn't want to get ahead of myself and mention, like, I remember seeing you in Goldcoin and, other projects as well. So it was like the ones that you mentioned. It's really cool to see that you guys know what to do. You know how to market, you know how to push, you know how to manage community. That's really important. This kind of fundamental stuff. I did want to ask, though, just so that way listeners can kind of understand, you mentioned here on the website 8,888 liquidity-backed NFTs. Now, of course, you had made mention that people are going to be the ones generating this. How can the community participate in creating one of those NFTs? Because it's limited. It's not like everyone can make one. So what is the vetting process for creation?
Exactly. So the vetting process is, I'll get to that in a second, but
okay.
The way that people are going to be able to participate is to own a NFT in an ERC404 project. You have to own a whole token, right? So 8,888 supply is a very low supply. If you look at other tokens that are trading on Uniswap, there's billions of supply. Trillions of supply, in some cases even sextillions of supply, which we've done before. Which you look at the price of the token, it'll be like 0.0000, 30 zeros, and then the actual price. So you'll look at it, you'll never understand what the price even really is. With 8,888 supply, you're going to look at the price, and the price is going to be a number you can recognize, right? For example, if a total supply of 8,888 would mean at a $88 million market cap, each token should technically be worth $10,000, right? And the way to participate and actually own an NFT is to mint one whole token, to have one whole token. So the way ERC404 works is you can buy as little as a fraction of a token that you want, but if I go ahead and buy half of a token, 0.5 DaVinci tokens, I will just get 0.5 DaVinci tokens. If I go and mint or buy one whole DaVinci token, then I will get the one whole DaVinci token plus an NFT. If my wallet ever falls below that one token threshold, the NFT gets burnt out of my wallet, and the next person who mints one whole token would get that NFT theoretically. So the way that you would actually be able to customize the art after you have the NFT is on our website. We're gonna have a front page. It's not up, a front end. It's not up just yet, so you can't see it. But we shared some sneak peeks on our Twitter. So if you guys go to our Twitter, you'll be able to check it out. It's just like Midjourney. It's just like DALL-E. It's an image generator where you'll be able to go and mess around and use AI to create a bunch of different artworks, and whichever one you like is the one that you'd go with, right? You'd say, hey, this is the one that I'm choosing. I want this to live on the blockchain forever. And you go ahead and upload that. Now, if you're an artist or an influencer or a celebrity, we have a different option for people like that, where we're going to immediately have them be able to upload their own artwork that they draw by hand, because I know there are some artists out there that they don't like using AI. They like to actually draw the art themselves. So we do have an upload feature, and we will have that upload feature become available for the public at some time in the future as well. It's just the downside to that is we have to manually check every piece of artwork, because obviously we don't want any X-rated imagery. We don't want any copyright infringement. We don't want people uploading things that just should not be uploaded, right? So there are some terms and conditions on that end, but with that, the way that our AI is going to be prompted and the way that we've got it set up, we know that anything that it generates is not going to be infringing on any copyright, or be able to produce X-rated images or something that'll look bad for the brand, right?
Very interesting. So I'm curious, because my mind always goes to B2B, right? So kind of an interesting question here, perhaps. When you do open up the ability to upload, could a project go in and buy one token and upload like a promo NFT?
No, they can't, because they could, but that doesn't mean that it would actually make it past our review process, right? Because like when somebody submits something manually and doesn't use the AI, it goes to us first, and we have to approve it, because we have to make sure it's not copyright or pornography or something stupid that would hurt the brand. So we would have to approve or deny it. But with the AI, the way the AI is set up, it won't be an issue.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of curious because it almost reminds me of like the idea of like bribes in DeFi, right? Where there's like an incentive for other projects to purchase your asset to kind of help themselves, right? To self promote in that way.
That might be an option in the future, depending on like how people take it. I don't know if you remember that one website called what was it called? $1 billion website or $1 million website, where it was just one whole web page, and people would just buy real estate of the web page to kind of like market their own business and whatnot. I mean, if it turns into people wanting to do something like that, we're more than welcome to look through the strategies of it. But I don't think it's going to get to that point. I think it's going to be empowering creative people to become artists. And just like myself, I don't have artistic bone in my body, but if I go and use our tool and create a stick figure, throwing a football, and it's the most basic looking piece of art in the world, but I still sell it for $5,000 or $10,000 because that's how much the floor price of each token on Uniswap is. I'm gonna go and tell my friends, and be like, "Yeah, I drew a stupid stick figure that took me 3 minutes, and I sold it for 10 grand." And they're gonna be like, "You did what?" So, that's the cool element to it.
No, that it's super cool. And what I love is just the fact of that burn, right? So if you own less than one whole it burns, and then you can so to my understanding, you can remint then. So then let's say there's 8,887 now because someone, sold theirs and now it burned. That means that one last NFT, by purchasing one more coin, can then mint a brand new piece of art, correct? Because the last one was burned. Is that right?
Almost. So once a piece of art has been uploaded, that art stays on the blockchain forever. So whether that person of that NFT loses their NFT by selling it or trades it or whatever, that art still stays on that specific NFT ID. So the blockchain will immortalize people's creations, and I think that's pretty cool too, because even long after you exit a project or whatever, you can always look back and say, hey, I made that, and it's living on the blockchain forever.
So that's really interesting then, because, okay, I'm really happy I asked that, because then that means that there's a limited mint period to actually get unique art within these 8,888, because once those are all effectively claimed by owning one and uploading or using the AI art generator, you can't upload new art, right? Because there's not going to be more of these. This is the set supply.
You would need to find a blank canvas one, which takes me to my next point, which is, there will be a market for people looking for blank canvas NFTs. They'll be like, hey, I need to try to find one that hasn't been used yet, so I can put my own art on it. And we're going to be working with a lot of artists, right? A lot of famous artists, people that have 500,000 followers, 100,000 followers, well-known people in the space of art. And we're onboarding them, and they're going to come on board and make their own art and upload it to these NFTs as well. So the rarest, even though each NFT is a one of one, the rarest NFTs will be obviously the ones that are created by famous artists, just like, the artist behind the work gives additional value to what something is already worth. And we're going to be kind of introducing that approach as well. And it's just good for marketing, and it shows artists that, the 404 protocol can be beneficial for them in many ways, where they have instant liquidity to the creations that they make. Even a regular artist nowadays has to paint something and then take it to a art auction and try to find a buyer for it, whereas now they can literally go on here and put whatever, and it's immediately worth something because there's a liquidity pool tied to it.
So just so I can wrap my head around it, because I think this is a really good kind of conversation on ERC404 in general, but also how you guys are, adding in that extra layer. I just want to understand, because let's go to the kind of the zenith of maybe an artist coming on board. Let's say Beeple, for example, says, you know what, I want a blank canvas. Yeah, okay, I'm going to upload a custom piece to one of these 8,888. All right, cool. Obviously, that one's going to be in massive demand. Now, my question, because I just want to make sure I understand properly, is that NFT or that coin, since they're combined together, could be worth more than just selling it into the liquidity, correct? And if so, if I'm understanding that correctly, how would one get more value for it than just selling it into liquidity, if that's the case? Let me know if I need to rephrase that, because just kind of asked two questions there.
Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. So great question. So if you think that your NFT is worth more than what it is on the liquidity pool, let's say the floor price of each token is $5,000, for example, right? Mm-hmm. And you're looking at your token and you say, hey, this was created by Beeple, so it's definitely worth more than $5,000 in my opinion. You could go and use the traditional NFT approach that has been used previously and go and list your NFT on OpenSea. Even though that it works on Uniswap, it also works the same way in conjunction that we're used to on OpenSea. That's why we're not reinventing the wheel on how people interact with crypto or NFTs. on their traditional marketplaces. We're reinventing the wheel in terms of actually kind of like fusing them together. So if you have an NFT that people created and you don't want to sell it for the floor price of $5,000 each, for example, you go and list that on OpenSea and say, hey, you know, I want 30 ETH for this. And then if somebody wants it and is willing to pay you 30 ETH for it, they can, or they can put an offer in and say, hey, you know, I'm not going to give you 30, but I can give you 20. And you know, then you make a decision whether you want to accept or decline that. But realistically, these ERC404 protocol tokens work on every NFT marketplace. You know, Blur, OpenSea, LooksRare, you name it. It works on everything, and it also works on every decentralized exchange: Uniswap, SushiSwap, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
That is really interesting. See, I'm really happy we were able to understand that, because that's huge. I mean, you guys said it yourself. You're after some big artists. You know, obviously, might take a little bit of time to get people, but I also say that while in the same sentence saying, you know, I've interviewed ticker symbol Bitcoin. I was at the latest IFC fight in Mexico City with the devs from ticker symbol Bitcoin, and Beeple loves them. He's put them in his art like 4 or 5 different times. So
really?
it's
That's
definitely cool. Yeah, it blew me away. I was like, what? I even asked him, I was like, what did you guys do to get people to mention you? And they're just like, he just did it. We didn't even ask him. I'm like, what? Crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. Max, my partner Max, he actually owns a very old Beeple piece. So he's pretty proud of it, man.
Dude, I love that. Congrats, man. Jeez, I would, oh my God. I don't even know what I would do for that, man. But anyway, so okay, cool. So I think we did a really good high level understanding of what you guys are doing. Again, I really love this. Like, this is true innovation on something that is incredibly, incredibly hot on X right now, on crypto Twitter. It's being talked about in spaces. You can probably find a space right now that it's being talked about. It's being talked about all over posts, and it's something that has been, you know, needed. Now, I wanted to ask, just so people can be very, very clear in understanding, since this is built off of the traditional, you know, ERC protocol side, does it mean that it has the same type of gas? It's still going to have the same type of, you know, Ethereum gas, right?
Yeah, it will still incur, you know, gas on the network, just like everyone's been used to forever. But one concern that people had with V1 of 404 protocol contracts was the gas was a little bit higher than normal. That has been optimized with our contract. So it will be gas that people are used to seeing, you know, normally and interacting with other tokens. You know, on the NFT side of things, you also have a gas fee if you transact on OpenSea and whatnot. But you know, realistically, this operates the same exact way that any other ERC contract that you've ever interacted with does. And, you know, it's not going to be anything where you're going to look at it and say, hey, this is rocket science, I don't understand. It's very straightforward. You've done this a million times before if you're in this space. And, you know, it's just getting people to grasp onto understanding the concept of what 404 is at first. And then once they get it, they're like, oh, that makes sense. That's so much better than what we used to have. So I think it's the future, man.
No, I mean, it's answering a fundamental question for sure. And I wanted to now kind of pivot into tokenomics a little bit. So, of course, really bullish total supply, 8,888. We can see here 60% going to the initial mint batch, 25% to the liquidity pool, 5% for the team, 10% for artists and influencers. I wanted to ask, I didn't see anything here about it, but I wanted to make sure in case I was missing it. The 5% for the team and 10% for artists and influencers. I'm assuming here, especially, these aren't vested to my understanding, but are the team allocation vested at all?
So the team allocation, no, it is not. And we've actually held that same amount in all of the projects that we've launched. And I mean, on chain, we've never sold on the chart at all. You know, we keep the floor strong on our end. We just like to make sure that, you know, we get a piece of our pie as well, because we are the ones putting all of the work into bringing the stuff to fruition. But in terms of giving a 10% allocation to artists, influencers, project collaborators, and whatnot, there we get to pick and choose who we want to invest to, right? So if we onboard an artist and say, hey, you know, you have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, or you have 200,000 followers on Instagram, this is the deal we could give you. We can, you know, give you one token, invest you another one or two, and you know, there are different strategic ways we could go about it. But obviously, we're known to use our funds very, very strategically and very loose-handedly in terms of we don't mind spending money. In our first project, Shibadoge, we've spent close to $4 million just on marketing and other expenses that were used to build the project up alone. You know, and then that's a factual number on chain that can be verified. We don't mind spending money. We understand that that's what it takes to grow something in this space. You have to be able to have the funds and the resources to be able to fight through a lot of the obstacles that are put your way, because at the end of the day, everyone in this space is looking for exposure, and the cost of exposure really, really becomes significant as the demand of crypto goes up, especially now with the bull market coming around. I can see a lot of success with, you know, having a extremely high project, but on top of not just having an extremely high project, a very good project, something that changes the game. And there's going to be nothing like us out there. So I can see a lot of people wanting to hop on board.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing of anything like this on 404, which is pretty cool. But it's also not a mistake either. I mean, you guys are fast moving. This is something that is still very much in the public eye, and you guys were able to put this together fast and actually have a good product, which is kind of rare to be able to do both. So I wanted a little bit further explanation on these 2 points here. So if you don't mind, just kind of walking us through here, the second statement from the developer notes saying, there's no need to hold the traditional floor, as it is a direct function of the tokenomics to disincentivize lower than mint price trading. Is this saying that the price you're buying it for, you don't really necessarily have to worry about that price holding necessarily, or are you talking about the conversion of that to an actual NFT mint?
So kind of both, right? So anytime like someone were to mint an NFT, one of the first things they look at is, hey, is the floor of the NFT less than what I minted it at or higher than what I minted it at, right? And then that dictates whether they want to go and buy on the open market or if they want to go and mint one while it's still available. The way that this works, since it's tied in with a liquidity pool, there is no, hey, what's higher, the mint price or the sale price? Like there's always a minimum price, and the minimum price is going to be the mint price during the mint phase and also the post-launch as well. So realistically, if somebody were to want to get rid of their NFT, right? If they say like, hey, I don't want to be a part of this, I bought it, I regret it, I want to get out, they can instantly make that decision and get out. They do not need to look at the floor. They do not need to be like, hey, okay, let me wait for the floor to restabilize or see if there's volume coming in. They can look at the price. They could be like, hey, okay, each token is worth $500. I have 2 of them. I'm going to go ahead and sell all 2. You know you're getting $1,000 because each token is worth $500, and you're out. And there is no need to worry about someone undercutting you, you posting something for a certain price, and then the guy next to you coming and literally going $1 underneath, and his sells first, and then yours doesn't sell. And it eliminates all of those problems that exist in the NFT space, and that's what that message is trying to convey.
Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And, one quick question that kind of comes from that too is let's jump to the future. Because especially if this picks up, those 8,888 could, completely get published and minted like quite quickly. Obviously, there's still going to be some blank canvas ones that people hold on to. Of course, people always do that, which is great. But let's just say theoretically, most of them are already, published to, I guess you could say, minted to. If you then buy from the open market for the limited amount, that are left, like let's say you just buy one from the liquidity pool, since it's available, but it's already been published with a piece of art, is there a way to tell which one you're getting if you're buying from the open market?
No, there won't be a way to tell if you buy it from the open market on Uniswap. It'll just mint you the next one that is supposed to be minted. The only way for you to pick and choose which one you want to buy would be to go to OpenSea and be like, that's the one that I want, and choose that one, right? That's the only way for you to be able to pick and choose. Other than that, it's randomized in terms of what you'll get. You won't know, we won't know. It's just what it's first in, first out. That's kind of like how the contract works. So if I have NFT number 69 and I sell it, the next person to mint the whole token, or the next NFT that would get minted, would be an NFT 69, because that was, the last one to go in and the first one to come out.
I think there could be some really interesting dynamics here where people kind of create bots that show like what's next queued up for purchase. And there might be some, there might be some interesting meta games built in within that, where people are like, okay, I'm going to wait for the third one up to be able to buy it. Okay, there's two, and now there's one. Okay, I'm going to buy this one because it has a really cool piece of art that I want. Like that is really interesting. Yeah.
But you also mentioned something I want to emphasize a little bit on it. You said all 8,888 can get minted. I'll be the first to tell you that it's going to be impossible for all 8,888 to get minted, and the reason why it's going to be impossible is for an NFT to actually get minted, the person who owns it needs to own one full token, right? You need to have one whole token for an NFT to come with it as well. Now, there are going to be a lot of people that just buy fractional amounts, or someone who buys 2.5 tokens. So realistically, all 8,888 tokens can't be minted, because there will be, a dispersion of those fractional amounts to other wallets that can. So you get what I'm saying? Like all 8,888 will be almost impossible to get minted. But in the mint phase, where we're supplying 5,334 tokens to it, that's where we're going to be able to see the most amount of mints coming in, because that's when people are going to go in and say, hey, this is the price. It's 0.0888 for each mint. I want to be able to buy one whole one at least, right? Or I want to buy 10, or I want to buy half of one. So that's where we're going to be able to kind of like get a baseline of how many will be initially in existence. And then we can kind of like have a percentage up and down, whether how many more will be actually minted or not. Realistically, the number that I think will be in existence is probably 60% of the total supply, which is what we supplied to the liquidity pool. The other 40%, it'll come and go as people are trading. So we will see new NFTs come to rise, and we'll see some that might hit the liquidity pool and take forever to come back again, right? So people will be hunting those down for weeks, months, days. You never know. Should be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, people are definitely going to make bots for this, which is kind of cool. I can already see it. Like they're gonna be like, okay, I want this piece of art, but I want it at the best price possible. So I'm gonna see when it's gonna flag me when it queues up, coming up for sale, and I can already see it happening. So that's kind of cool. Okay, cool. So could you explain this rebalancing here, just to have a little bit understanding? So a minimum threshold of supply will be determined before liquidity rebalancing to minimize risk exposure for early minters. Could you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely, man. So that wasn't an idea that we came up with originally. I'm going to give credit to the Pandora team. I'm sure you guys have heard of the Pandora token, but they're also a 404 protocol token. They actually kind of were the first to do it, and a lot of our inspiration comes from what they were able to kind of shed light on in the space. So we looked at how they did it in terms of supplying the liquidity and rebalancing the pools in terms of market cap to liquidity ratio to maximize the amount of market cap they're able to reach, but also keep the liquidity pool operating in a healthy manner for everybody to feel comfortable. And that's where we took the inspiration in terms of how we want to do that. If you look at their launch plan and how they supplied their liquidity and launch trading, we're pretty much going to try to be as close to that as possible, and that's what that message is trying to say. in terms of the balancing in and out. The other part where it says minters can simply return the NFT for a theoretical maximum threshold of 1% in and out means that if you want to get out of the project, like let's say you got in immediately at mint, and then your dad calls you and says, "Hey man, I need some money," and you say, "Oh well, I don't have any money, but I got this, so let me immediately get out," right? You could sell, and theoretically, if you sell at the mint price, for example, you'd only lose 1% because it's a zero tax token and it's on Uniswap V3, and Uniswap V3 charges a 1% transaction fee. Like, so theoretically, that's what that's trying to say is, since it's on Uniswap V3, that 1% in, 1% out is something that we can't change.
Ah, okay. That's good to know. I actually didn't know that V3 was that much. I thought they had less of a fee. That's interesting. Interesting. Well, I guess because they're adding in the NFT element of things, you know.
And
V3.
also V3 just got an update as well that nobody's really talking about. But now you'll be able to, you know how you can buy calls and puts on stocks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with Uniswap V3, there's a new feature where you can actually, theoretically, in a way, do that with tokens as well, based on their liquidity, which is pretty badass, man.
Oh, that is. I'm gonna have to check that out a little bit later. Okay. Well, kind of segueing into kind of the tail end there of what you were talking about, sort of having that launch plan. So obviously, you know, I'm hearing about mints all over the place as far as whitelist accessibility for them. So do you kind of want to walk us through, you know, how the whitelist is going to work? I would also like to hear about, you know, how the funds gathered from that whitelist are going to be utilized. Like, are they going to be deployed all into the liquidity pool? Are they going to be broken up like half into liquidity, half for marketing? How does that work? Because you brought up a really good point of 0% tax. So I assume that there has to be obviously some capital used for the marketing itself from Raise. But if you want to walk us through that.
Yeah, definitely, man. So there is obviously the marketing supply that we have set aside in terms of just the token amount. But this is the real world, and you know, not everyone just works for token amount. So there will be a certain amount set aside for marketing and set aside for other realistic expenses that are going to scale the project. And in terms of supplying the liquidity, like I said, we're going to be doing it the same way in terms of percentages that the Pandora project did, because we don't want to copy them. I'm going to just say that straight up. We don't want to copy them, but we just really, really like the way that they did it, because it made the most sense, and it worked, right? It worked, and you can see that it worked. And we kind of watched from day one, and we're investors as well. And, you know, we were happy with it. So us as investors being happy, we want to be able to make our investors feel the same way. So the way that the funds will be deployed is, for example, let's say there's 50 ETH raised, for example, right? Not all 50 ETH is going to go to the LP all at once, because then that would create a static market cap. But if it is injected over a period of a few hours, it makes the market cap and the liquidity ratio have a nice balance, and that's the correct way to actually balance that liquidity pool. I'm not the mastermind behind it. Like I said, it's something that we saw happen real time in front of our eyes, and there are other people on our team that understand it much better than I do. But that's going to be the game plan on how we deploy the capital raised. In terms of percentages, I don't know exactly off the top of my head what percentages that'll be. And it's hard to tell because we have to see how the mint goes first. You know, that's considering like if the whole thing sells out immediately, if it doesn't sell out. And for whatever doesn't sell out, right? So there are 5,334 tokens that we're supplying to the whitelist. If for whatever reason, or not just the whitelist, but for the mint, if for whatever reason all of those don't sell out, and let's say only 5,000 of them do, the 334 tokens will be added to the amount that is supplied to the liquidity pool. So anything unminted, whether it's 100 or 1,000 or whatever, anything unminted will be paired with ETH and supplied back to the liquidity pool.
Gotcha. And then people can just buy it right from the liquidity pool there.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. But obviously, the advantage of getting into the whitelist is you're there before all the potential, price action. So pretty nice.
You're getting it at a static price, and you're getting it before the public has a chance to get it.
Okay. Now, to go along with this, right? Just an estimate to kind of get people to wrap their head around it, right? What would one NFT cost then? What would one token cost to get an idea?
So one whole DaVinci token, if you were to go and want to buy an entire token, would be 0.0888 ETH. And that would give you the one token plus an NFT. But you don't need to buy a whole token if you don't want to. You can go and buy a fractional as low as, I believe it's like $4 worth, 0.001 ETH worth. So to participate, the barrier of entry is very, very low. Like you do not need to buy an entire token, or you don't need to get an NFT if you want to be involved. If you think the project is going to be successful and if you could see potential in it and you want to be involved, and you're like, hey, I don't want to dish out 0.0888 ETH or whatever, you don't have to. You could choose the amount that you want to participate in. So the barrier of entry is very low. And the way that the launch works in this, it's so great, man, because the mint happens prior to the token trading goes live, right? So what that means is we don't have to worry about bots. We don't have to worry about snipers. We don't have to worry about people getting early CAs and sniping the contract that way. It changes the way that token launches are going to happen, and I think that's one of the best things that happened to this space, because I've seen many projects die in the water before they could even kick their feet because of bots or snipers or people getting the contract address early and buying up the whole supply, and the communities behind it are like, yo, what the hell happened there? So it solves that issue as well.
No, that does. It is a cool way to do it. It's genuinely a cool way to do it because, as you mentioned, they're like, bots and snipers for experienced traders might not scare them, but for some people, they see a huge pump on launch, all the snipers are buying, and then they see a colossal red candle. And if this is maybe, your first couple rodeos, you're like, oh my God, panic, sell. I'm in a 0.01% profit. I'm going to sell. Right. And then that cascades. And, before you know it, you're below launch price, so it can it can get pretty scary for a lot of people. So no, this is a good system. Okay. So last question I wanted to have was, now that we kind of understand the process, we understand some of the history here. Let's just talk briefly on some of the marketing. Like you mentioned, you guys are following like a really good liquidity dispersal formula. But as far as traditional marketing, obviously you're here on an AMA. What else is planned as far as exposure? Because to be honest, although this is in the public eye, ERC404, it's still super new to a lot of people. They have no idea what this is. So what is the plan to kind of educate and get the word out there post-launch?
So definitely, man. I love how you asked that question. And let me talk a little bit about pre-launch, and I'll get pretty detailed into post-launch. So pre-launch, we're already working with 100 influencers in terms of Twitter callers, Telegram callers, Twitter KOLs, some YouTubers, some PR agents, private whale chats, and so on. The traditional things that people do. But we've already onboarded over 100 people, which is massive. So we're going to be spreading the word pretty heavily in terms of that direction. Obviously, if you're in some whale chats or if you're in some private groups, you've probably heard about this, right? Besides of the public eyes and people hearing about it, you've probably heard about it because there is a lot of chatter going on in whale chats. In terms of post-launch, how we plan on scaling it through marketing and other avenues is we're going to leverage the fact that it's so new, and we're going to leverage the fact that people don't know about it just yet, and use that as a platform for us to gain exposure in a sense, because now you're seeing Coinbase release articles about 404, you're seeing Binance release articles about 404, you're seeing a lot of exposure coming to the table. And then you go to CoinMarketCap and you look at like, hey, how many 404 projects are there? And there are only a handful, right? So being able to kind of like go in there and secure a part of the market share of those 404 projects and being one of the first to market with it is going to be a very big advantage for us. And on top of that, we're going to be working with a lot of influencers, non-crypto influencers, kind of like artists and some celebrities that we're trying to get into contact with right now through a marketing manager that we've got. So there will be exposure in that term. But realistically, I'll ask you a question. When you first found out about NFTs, like what was your initial thought? Like when you found out some people are paying $10,000 for a JPEG, like what did you say? Like what was your opinion?
I thought, man, this art better be good. that was my thought. I was like, if people are paying, 1,000, 10,000 or more on these digital pictures, like it must be really good art, or it must just be like like a really cool vibe, or there's something there. Like I understood that like there's FOMO, but also people aren't dumb. There's some reason why these things are worth what they're worth, right? So that was when I was first getting in. That was my thought.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I was like, I'll never spend that amount of money on a piece of art that does nothing. Like that's what I said. I would cuss people out for buying NFTs. I'd be like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Fast forward 2021, I'm here spending $400,000 on a single NFT, which is like call me a hypocrite, but it's marketing, man. It's something new that people don't understand and they don't get a grasp on. And if you can get your foot through that door and educate them and put content out there that is going to show them how revolutionary this technology is, and kind of piggybacking off of the recent success that NFTs and crypto have had previously in their past, you're going to get people on board, and that's the approach that we're going to take. We always love to educate people. We love to bring them on board and introduce them to crypto and introduce them to this space, because this is it is a growing space, and it does have its ups and downs in terms of type of community that are in here. But everybody that is involved in this space realistically has one goal, and that's people will sugarcoat it with 1.5 million things, but the number one goal for people in this space is how can I make money? How can I invest in something and make a profit, right? Now, no one can guarantee that. We can't guarantee that, and Pepe can't guarantee it. No project that launches can guarantee anyone is going to make a profit. But what we can guarantee is we're going to be doing everything in the way that hasn't been done before. The tech is something that is extremely new and exciting, and that gives us the barrier of entry to go in and be like, hey, we want to take a percentage of the market share of what the 404 protocol projects have in store.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And yeah, man, I've definitely spent my fair share on NFTs as well. I kind of had the same idea. I was like, I think it's cool, but I don't know if I'm really going to buy any. And I ended up buying some. I didn't spend that much, but one of the silliest ones is I remember, what was it? It was some project that was shilled super hard on YouTube or something. And I ended up buying like $5,000 worth of digital clams that we're going to live in a metaverse. I was like, what the hell am I doing? They obviously don't worth anything now, but I'm just like, what the hell? Anyways, well, hey guys, this was a great conversation. Everyone listening in, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I did want to get into some of the community questions. I selected two that I'd really like to hear your answer on. If it's okay with you, I'll jump right into those.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. So Alex Costa from the Lion Calls community asks, if I buy an NFT, do the ERC404 tokens go straight to my wallets? Do I need a claim first? What does that process look like? And if I sell my NFT, will the ERC404 tokens be lost? So kind of just like an overall on, do I have to claim? Do they automatically show? Do I have to add a network? How does that work? And then one other piggyback question on that, what fees are used when buying or selling? Is it just standard ETH as it is normally on the Ethereum network, or is it different?
Yeah, so it's going to be standard ETH that everybody's used to, just, gas and whatever else comes with the Ethereum network, which is honestly just gas. So that it's as basic as that. And in terms of when you sell your NFT, if you like list, so let's get one thing straight. The token, one DaVinci token, a whole DaVinci token is your NFT, and it is also your token. They both live on the same contract address. So if you were to sell your NFT on OpenSea, for example, right? You list it and somebody buys it, your NFT would get transferred to the person that buys it along with the token that you own, right? So essentially, if you sell one, the other goes with it as well. The only exception is fractional, right? So if you own like 0.7 of a token, you obviously don't have an NFT because you need a whole token to have an NFT. In that scenario, you would just be trading the token back and forth.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I think it's just a good reminder again for anyone listening in, because people kind of get a little confused, like, wait, is this a completely different thing? No, it's still using a ETH, guys. Just keep that in mind, and it's very easy to be able to now trade NFTs in a much more simplified way, because it's now tied to a liquidity pool instead of needing to wait for someone to buy your listing. But if you have something extra special from an artist, maybe that maybe took one of those blank canvases and created a really cool uploaded piece of art onto that coin, then you might want to manual list it. So you have the flexibility of both, which is really cool. Now, pulling another question here. See, this one's kind of interesting, and I promise this is not a gotcha question, but from John Lex, he's asking, he was, I guess he was part of the gold token launch, and he said, you guys did a fantastic job, marketing that, but because that token was also 0%, it kind of reached an area where there was, a point of funds being run out effectively. How are you guys looking to combat that here?
Right. So realistically, the market at the time that gold launched was in a horrible place compared to what it is now. So, timing is always pretty essential in terms of how a project will scale. Not to say like it's impossible to scale a project during bad times, because it's not. We've done it before. Gold broke all-time high on 3 or 4 different occasions. And yeah, there was a point where we were like, hey, we're throwing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars at this out of our own pocket. It was a zero tax token. So out of our own pocket, we're throwing money at it. And there came to a point where we were like, hey, okay, we just can't keep, throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars at this and, keep hurting our pockets. So the way that we're going to combat this is, obviously we've got a large amount of funds and resources to our disposal. For the people that don't know us, we're not just your average developers. All of us come from a place, and we were inspired to become to come into the crypto space because of our success that we found as crypto investors. We've made a ton of money on Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, hence the name Shibadoge was the first project that we launched. One of our partners and one of our developers is still up to today a top 50 wallet on Dogecoin. So in terms of funds and finding funds, we've always been able to do that. We've always supplied funds out of our own pocket when needed, and we've been able to fund marketing and building for our own projects ever since the beginning. Now, in this scenario, there is going to be funds that are going out in terms of being able to market continuously for the project, which is why we set aside 10% of the total supply for marketing, for influencers, for collaborations, for being able to do that. And since these tokens already have instant liquidity, being able to approach someone and say, hey, this NFT is part of the ecosystem that we've built, and we want to form a partnership or a marketing partnership with you. They're more inclined to want to accept because there is instant liquidity built in. But even before that, we have our own funds set aside for being able to scale this. And if you guys know us, we spend money. We've spent, like I said, over close to $4 million just on promoting Shibadoge alone. So yeah, we don't see that being a problem. This is something that has been brought up before as well, and we're just super passionate about the tech right now, and we think that it's something scalable. And when we get excited about something like this, we go balls deep, and we try to make sure that we could throw everything at it to scale it and blow it up. So we're more than confident and we're more than capable.
Yeah, no, and thank you for that answer, Leo. Because it's one of those things, like, if you guys remember back, because I know we have a lot of the same listeners from when we did the AMA with Goldcoin with y'all. There was about a week of just absolute pushing that you guys did on the chart. Like, it wasn't like, oh, after the AMA the chart goes down, or it has a little blip up and then it shoots back down. Like, it just kept going. In fact, I remember I went back into chat and was like, guys, you guys are killing it. So you definitely do deploy capital into it. And what you didn't have on your side is kind of what you mentioned there, the fact that this is also something that's still emerging. There's only a handful of projects on ERC404. You're in a new sector, but you're moving quick with a real utility and value add. And once you understand the basics, it's actually very simple, which is cool. And that kind of goes into the education piece. Now, for the most important question, I saved this for last, kind of tongue in cheek on that, but Izo is wondering, basically, when will the art be displayed in a world-renowned museum? Very important.
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I know for sure there will be a metaverse one day, and there will be people displaying the works of art in there. So that's probably going to be your first bet. But secondly, it's like, hey, if we get lucky and get like one of the most famous artists in the world to be like, hey, I want to be a part of this, that can really streamline that, and that could catapult us into news channels all over the world. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I'm just saying if we get lucky enough to pull something like that off, then it'll probably be in a world-renowned museum.
Hey, you never know, man. You never know. So awesome. Well, that was all the questions that I had. That was all the questions the community had that I picked out from the best questions, with a fun one at the end, of course. But I did just want to say my personal take on this, guys. Leo is someone who really, really does put his soul into these projects. On every single one that we've had here at Lion Calls, I've also, kind of done a little research on some of the past projects he's been on as well. Quality stuff. Obviously, everything you hear today, it's not financial advice. You guys already know that. But what it should spur you to do is join their TG, right? Check out what's going on. Keep an eye on this whitelist, because I wanted to make sure for this phase one, when's the cutoff for actually being qualified? Because I know you have a whitelist checker. When's the cutoff to even qualify for it?
So the cutoff is more than likely going to be on Sunday at a undisclosed time. We're going to cut it off at an undisclosed. We'll announce a few hours before we're going to cut it off, but it's going to be on Sunday. So yeah, man, if you guys are not on the whitelist and if this interests you, come check out the whitelist, get on the whitelist. It's super simple to apply. You just, it's on our domain, it's on our website. You go there, put your wallet address that you want to get whitelisted. You don't have to connect to anything. You don't have to connect your wallet or anything. You just put the wallet address in, paste it, and, answer a couple simple questions. And it's as simple as that. And also to mention, if, we are having a phase 2 public mint, but if the entire supply that we were putting up for mint sells out in phase 1, which is the whitelist mint, we will not have a public mint. We will not be able to have a public mint. It will bypass that. So, there is a very high chance that this sells out in the whitelist phase.
Awesome. Awesome. Love to hear that. And, I just went ahead and joined the DaVinci TG myself. Funny enough, the first message I posted was in response to a friend who's actually invested in some projects that I'm a part of. So I right away said like, hey, nice to see you. So anyways, guys, join into there. You'll see me. You'll see some of the other folks from the Lion Calls community here. Definitely take that opportunity to join in. And if you're interested, why not be there early? Be part of that early mint. And as was mentioned, you don't have to own all of one token if you don't want to, but I think there's going to be a lot of interest in owning one. It has a lot of benefits there, and being able to be part of that very limited mint that forever is locked into the blockchain. So pretty cool. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to you, Leo. Is there anything else you want to cover before we give it a close? I think we did a pretty high level, but I always like to give it back to our projects in case there's anything else.
Realistically, I'll be honest. Look, I have 3 other AMAs today, so I'm going to be sounding like a broken record all day. But if we miss something here, I guarantee you it will be caught in one of the next upcoming ones in the next couple hours. So join our Telegram, get on the whitelist. Trust me, this is a project that you're not going to want to fade. And I know you guys do that phase all the time. Twitter posts, shit posts, whatever. Don't fade us, man. Our reputation speaks for itself. We put our heart and souls into the things that we build, and I mean, just the numbers speak for themselves, and that's all I got to say. Join the whitelist, man. Join our Telegram. Go to DaVinci.wtf. Get on the website. Read the white paper. Just do yourself a service and be curious. Be curious, because this is the future of Web3.
Good way to be, and what a place to end. Be curious, check out DaVinci, guys, and do not let Sunday go by. I would say if you're interested, get real interested by Saturday so you don't have to worry about Sunday. Enjoy your Sunday. Get those submissions in the whitelist checker by Saturday would be my recommendation, so you can enjoy a nice Sunday. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and close this one out. Thank you so much, Lion Calls community, for another fantastic AMA showing up super strong. Thank you, Leo. Thank you for everyone joining as well from the official DaVinci team. Really nice to have you here. Roof as well for the little information on how you've been enjoying being part of the team before we hit record. Really love to hear that. And as Leo said, if you want to join in on another AMA, please do. It sounds like it's going to be all across the AMA space and that campaign. So follow him there, and look forward to checking out what you guys do coming into the next week. Sounds like it's going to be pretty good.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate everything you've done, and I hope you have a great week. I hope to see you on Mint Day.
Oh yeah, man. I'll be in chat. I'll be in chat. And Roof, thank you as well, man. Looking forward to seeing you guys. And we're gonna go ahead and give it a close right there. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you in the TG. Bye for now.